What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about patches, wheels, front and back, wheel spacing, back spacing, and section width for how much tire you can actually put under the car. And we'll talk about ALS versus big block Chevy reliability, because I've been dealing with a lot of keyboard mechanics that want to try to tell me something. So let's get at it.
Here's Patches' front tire combo. This is a American Racing wheel. VN 510, 18 inch by 8 inch wide. This is a 255, 35, 18 tire. All right, and this is a 4.5 inch back spacing. So this is actually gonna fit pretty good underneath the front end. So let's go to the back. So this is the same diameter. It's 18 inch wheel. All right, it's the VN 510 18 by 10 with a 6 inch back spacing. Now when I say back spacing, I mean from the lip on the inside, which touches the rear end, that touches the brake caliper, brake rotor, excuse me, back measures 6 inches. All right, so it's something like that right there, give or take, you know, something like that. All right, and this is the chassis. These are my 2 fingers, you know, so it's pretty tight to the chassis. Now, I'm gonna show you guys the width of the rim and how much section width you can put on this rim, how much wide a tire you can put. So more to come. All right, guys, so here's the front tire. And as you can see, let's see here. As you can see, we're somewhere around, you know, 9.5 inches of section width. So that's a give or take 9.5 inch tire with 9.5 inches of section width. Now, this is a 18 by 8 inch tire. What I mean by section width, I mean from outside the bubble, outside the bubble, all right? So when I measure this, and I know this 18 by 8 with a 4.5 inch back spacing will have plenty of turning room and won't rub and all that stuff. Now the back wheels, I guess, is what everybody wants to talk about. So there's a few things that I've done to the back here that I want to point out. So number one, this is a 6 inch back space wheel, and I honestly don't think that this would fit under a factory wheel tub. As you can see, the rim itself, you know, is pretty wide. All right, so that leaves me from the chassis about 1.5 inches of section width to play with before I'm rubbing the chassis. So I come here, I look at the width of the rim, and then I start kind of creeping up on it. So I've determined that I can get away with probably 12.5 inches of section width. You know, if you do 1 inch on each side, you're roughly around 12.5 inches of section width, which turns out to be about a 315, 35, or 40, 18. The height we're not going to worry about. It's the width on the inside of the wheel tub. So I've come to the conclusion that you can run a 315, 35, or 40, 18. You might can get away with a 325, 35 or 40, 18 on that, but you're going to be, the section width on those are like 12.8. So by the time 12.8, you're looking at 12.5 here. You know, you're, yeah. So you got 1 inch there, and you're right around 13 there. So you would literally have maybe that much from rubbing the chassis. That's pretty tight on a 325 or 335. So I would stick with the 315, which is a pretty wide tire. The 6.5 inch back spacing actually works out pretty good underneath the back side of this thing. Here's the coilover from QA1, and here is the saddles. Here is where the rim is. You can see there's plenty of room. It's not going to hit. This is a factory style rear disc brake conversion.
You can tell there's gonna be no interference there. There's gonna be no interference back in there. So this is actually gonna work out pretty good. It's gonna be awesome.
Guys, on the 69 Chevelle, the rear wheel tubs are actually pretty wide, and the lip is actually pretty forgiving on the inside of the lip here. Pretty good. So I'm gonna show you what I was talking about with the widths tire. All right, so as you can see here under this car, here's a factory wheel tub, you know, all right, and you can measure the factory wheel tub, you know, here we go. All right, you can look there to the lip, you're right about 13 3/4 inches, give or take, okay? So that's not an actual reality, actually in reality, how much tire you can put under this, because you have to look at where the chassis is going to sit and how far in the tire is actually going to be from where the chassis are going to lay. All right, and so if you look under here, you can see that this here, this mount right here, this is where the factory chassis are going to come up underneath. All right, and you're looking at about an inch, give or take, maybe an 1.25 inches. All right, and as you look here, you can see that the lip itself is about an inch, okay? And then up under here, you can see there's a factory body mount right there. The chassis will run right along in here, so you can do your measurements according to that. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna say, give or take, 1.5 inches. So here's my determination on that, guys. All right, guys, so my determination on the rear wheels, it depends on if you're willing to cut and extend the factory wheel tub out. If you are, then you can put that 315 3518 on the back side of it. And if you're not really willing, if you got a factory wheel tub, you kind of want to stick with it. I would go with like an 18 or 20 by 10 with the 5.5 inch back spacing, and I would trim the front lip a little bit on the car, the outside lip, to get it to fit. And maybe run like a 305 35 or 40 20 or 18 on the back side. I really would, and I would stick with the 5.5 inch back spacing, because you're gonna run into interference problems. I'm gonna cut my wheel tubs, and I'm gonna make this thing tuck in tight like that, just cause that's how I live my life. So, and I like to party, but when I've got this wide tire on the back, I wanna try to tuck as much tire in it as I can underneath. Now, the reason why I went 18s all the way around. So I see a lot of guys running the 19 and 20 inch combo front and back on these Chevelles, and it looks real good. I stuck with 18s, guys, because I like the ride of the 18. I like the availability of tires. Finding a 315, 35 18 or 40 18 for the rear end is tough. That is affordable. You can find them, but they're like $300 or $400 a tire. That gets kind of expensive. But, you know, I mean, you got to pay to play, I guess. But like I said, I would run a 315, 35, or 40, 18 on the back, or 20 on the back on this car. But if I was going to utilize the factory wheel tub, I definitely would stick with like a 305, 35, or 40, 18, or 20 on the back. Also running the 18s, guys, I have noticed from riding in some friends of mine's cars that 20s and 19s, they're a little rigid. The 18 has a little bit more height in the tire itself, from the rim to the top of the tire. You get a little bit more cushion there. Rides a little bit better. This car, if I was gonna, you know, just weekend warrior it here and there, or take it to car shows, yeah, I would probably do a 19 to 20 combo. But the 18s, man, I really, really want to put a lot of miles on this car. I want to drive it. I want to experience it. I want to pass it on to my kids and let them drive it. So I really want to put a rim and tire combination up there that's going to be practical for both them to afford the tire combo, and also
for the ride. It's already going to have the coilover, so all I'm concentrating at this point is the handling and the ride at this point, not really the look and stance. I think I can get the look and stance exactly where I want it. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the big block versus the LS. All right, guys, so this is Patches' 496 right here. All right, I've been getting a lot of comments and emails and stuff about why don't I LS swap this car? Why did I go big block Chevy? The LS, an LS3 or 5.3 or 4.8 with a turbo, all this stuff would be more reliable than the big block Chevrolet. And so I'm just going to openly say that that's bullshit. All right, number one, I couldn't tell you how many dualies are out there that are running 454s that have 300, 400,000 miles on them. Now, they're factory engines, but they're competing with the LS as far as you're talking about mileage is concerned. The reliability on, and these, I mean, you're talking about dualies that's pulling humongous long trailers its entire life behind a 700 R4, you know, and living the 300, 400,000 miles. Now, I've also noticed some LSs, you know, that get 300 or 400,000 miles out of them. And, you know, so it's tit for tat. But when we start talking about reliability, guys want to start talking about, well, the hydraulic roller in the LS is going to be more reliable. It's going to be better on fuel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the LS, yes, probably would be better on fuel. Now, if you start talking about putting a turbo on it, I don't know about it being better on fuel. I mean, this 496 with 93 pump gas, I'm gonna think with the overdrive transmission I'm running, it'd probably get 15 miles a gallon, right? An LS with a 76 or 78 millimeter turbo on it, probably gonna get around the same mileage. But really, do you really worry about the mileage when you build a car like this, a resto mod that you're gonna drive, you're gonna take it to shows, you know, the reliability part of it, yes, okay, I want the engine and the tranny combo to last as long as possible with the rear end, you know, the drivetrain combo. I want it all to last as much as possible. But also, and I want it to have power, you know, I want it to cam, I want it to have good power and have good street manners, a good combo of both. But as far as the reliability aspect of it, you know, I don't mind doing a little extra maintenance. I've got a solid flat tappet cam in this motor. Right here. And I know how to lash valves. I can lash them in 15, 20 minutes. I could do it every oil change or every other oil change. It doesn't really matter. I don't mind doing that, okay? I could just as easily take that cam out, put a hydraulic roller in this thing and be just like an LS. I won't never have to lash this stuff again. You could tell me that a 6-liter with a big cam and all this stuff, stock bottom end, would be cheaper. Not really. You know, by the time you talk about reliability, now, I could have went a lot cheaper with this engine as far as the build up. I could have put a stock crank in it, stock set of rods, a stock kind of piston in it, but I decided to put a stroker crank in it and I'll do all that stuff because that's my personal preference. Now, like I said, guys, when it comes down to the reliability of a big block versus an LS or a small block Chevy versus an LS or any of that, there are plenty of instances I can show you and I can prove that there's high mileage engines in every aspect from every manufacturer, Dodge, Ford, Toyota, you know, Chevrolet, all of them have their high mileage, very reliable engines that fire up every time and run. And I know a ton of 454 Chevrolet dualies that do the same thing. They pull loads their entire life and they continue to run to this day, you know, and there's no LS. So guys, don't let somebody talk you into LS swapping your stuff if you really want to put a big block in it. If you want to put an LS in the front, yes, fine, okay, because the lighter engine in the front might make the handling of the car a little bit better, okay? The blocks are superior. If you're going to put a power adder to it, if you're going to put a turbo, run that bad boy on E85, crank it up to 18, 19 pounds of boost, yeah, you'll have a pretty serious piece. But I can take this naturally aspirated big block right here, I can put, you know, 10-to-1 pistons in it, a healthy cam, and a good set of heads. I can make the same motor, I make the same power naturally aspirated, 700, 800 horsepower. It's all in your combo. It's all in what you want, guys. So don't let people tell you how to build your ride. You build your ride how you want. I've seen 1,000 million LS swapped, you know, classic cars. I've seen LS swap, import cars, whatever. I've seen it all, okay? LS is the new hot thing. It's a very plentiful engine. I get it, all right? I've seen a lot of coyote swaps too coming out of all of this. So a lot of coyote swaps are starting to come around. But don't let anybody tell you what to build, how to build your engine, what to put in your car, how to set your car up. It's good to listen to people. It's good to take good from people, knowledge and understanding and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, guys, this is your car. This is building it how you want to build it, okay? My boy Jack, he loved these big block Chevrolets. He always wanted a big block Chevelle. He never got it because he passed away before he could see this car come to life. So, you know, I want to put a big block in it. I know this big block's going to last a long time because it's well built. It's got good parts in it. It's going to make good power. It's not going to, I'm not going to turn it to the moon, so it's never going to really sling a rod or anything unless something catastrophic happens. So I'm not going to spray it with nitrous because I don't need to. The motor's going to make 600 foot-pounds of torque, 600 horsepower. And, you know, to the wheels, it might make 500. It's plenty for me, you know what I'm saying? And it'll run on pump gas. And if I do my maintenance on this engine the way I'm supposed to do it, the way I always do it, it'll last 200,000-300,000 miles, you know. And, you know, honestly, I'll probably be a little more impatient and, you know, tear it down every 4 or 5 years and put some bearings and rings in it just for the sake of it. But guys, I mean, don't let anybody tell you. There's a lot of keyboard mechanics out there. There's a lot of people out there who will tell you information or try to tell you how to build your car, to build it how they would build it. It's your car at the end of the day. You build it however you want. LS swaps are cool. Turbos are cool. Blowers are cool. Nitrous is cool. Naturally aspirated big blocks are cool. Putting a 4.3 V6 with a turbo in this thing would be cool. I don't care what you do. I'm just saying, guys, that when we start talking about reliability, like, oh, well, you can't jump in a big block Chevelle and drive from North Carolina to the Grand Canyon. Bullshit. Yes, you can. They've done it for years and years before the LS come along, you know, and they're going to do it years and years after the LS is obsolete, okay? So don't let people tell you that LS is the only way to have a reliable setup combo for your car, because that's crap, all right? So anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you like what you see. And the next videos will be about Charlie Murphy, because I'm trying to get it ready for race season. The 252 list has a small block nitrous class in it that I'm going to try to get up in. So I've got to put a new alternator on it that put out a little more amps. I need a 220 amp alternator. I've had to redo the doors on it. I've had to try and figure out my my brake leak problems, and just basically routine maintenance. That thing is a super reliable engine, man. It runs good, it's smooth. So anyway, guys, the next couple of videos you'll see will probably be about Charlie Murphy, because I'm trying to get him up to speed so I can get out there and race some of these no preps and race some of this the 252 nitrous classes, small block nitrous classes, so I can actually compete, you know. But anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll talk to you next time. Later. Boy, what are you doing? Hold up, you're stuck. Change gears. Change your gear.